People who don't like me, don't stop my praise. The enemy is doing the absolute best he can to discourage you and to whip you, to make you feel like you're not gonna make it to your next. Do I have a witness in here? Because you don't need to be around somebody that's intimidated about your future. You don't need to be sitting by somebody that's jealous of what God's getting ready to do. If you are discouraged that yoke tonight has been broken, I come tonight with a prophetic declaration that there is nothing that shall be able to stop you from getting to the place that God has ordained for you to be. Whatever is standing before you, it has no power. Tell them you are unstoppable.
Alright, so once you see we forward, you know say a showtime though. Once you hear that notification there ring off for your phone, you know say a showtime though. Yeah, once you look at the clock and you see 9 o'clock, you know say a showtime though. Big up to the family who's checking in tonight. We see Facebook crew locked in. We see YouTube crew locked in. We see everybody there and ready for another show tonight. And I want to say thank you to everybody who roll out every single show night to make sure that this happens. Alright, because you know me always say without Uno there is no unstoppable show though. Uno make it happen, and how Uno make it happen is by continuously telling people about the platform, continuously sharing out the platform and talking about the platform to more and more people. You understand? More officer, big up to the people them who always have, you know, lunchtime conversations in the office. You understand? About the stories shared on Unstoppable Live. Because I don't found to reach out and tell me, say, boy, Unstoppable, listen. When we listen to the show the night before we go to work and we talk about it, me and my co-worker them, and we have such a good conversation about the topic. And big up to the people them, as a matter of fact, who tell me say Unstoppable, and enough of my co-worker them me put on to your show. Me appreciate each and every one Uno. You understand me? I said, no, speaking of the people I would appreciate if Uno share out the show. Alright, I would appreciate that, man. Yeah, man, so if you're on Facebook right now, share out the show, right? Share it to every group. Because you know, say Facebook have the features where it easy if you want to share. All you have to do is click the share button and share it to every single group on in up on Facebook. Share it to your main profile, and if you have a page, share it to your page. And YouTube crew Uno can do the very same thing as well. Just click the share button and share it over to Facebook. Share it to a WhatsApp contact. You know, say that feature they did it to you. Just click the share button and it show you all kind of places where you can share it. Share out the show, because that is very important. Invite a friend over and tell them to come check out tonight's program. Alright, now tonight's topic is a very interesting one. I have a lady here who wants to share her situation, right? It's an ongoing situation, actually, one of them, and we're going to take a listen to what she has to say, but not before we pay the credit to the sponsor, of course, because you don't know, say, the sponsor keeps the show going as well. So tonight's sponsor is none other than Slam IP TV. Now, big up to all of the people them who done get them IPTV services from Slam. Alright, and no found no rock with Slam and no loving it. Alright, cause you what the people we don't get it in a family. Them have all of the art channels them where we can think of, them have it and them get it from Slam. Now if you want to get your services from Slam, it's 647-858-4337 is the number to reach out and give them a call, or you can even hit them up on WhatsApp as well and make them know, say, yo, you are Slam, me see your thing pan Unstoppable and more if you check it out. Alright, you can also hit them up on their social media pages as well, Instagram and Facebook at Slam_IPTV. Now family, when you reach out to Slam, make sure so you ask them about the yearly package, because the yearly package, that right there is the best deal you can get. May I tell you. Now the monthly fee is cheap as well, you know. But the yearly package you pay one time and you're done with them, you don't have to worry about nothing again. And guess what? If you know what go worry and say, but when we pay one time, what if something happen? If something even happens, all you have to do is reach out to Slam, and once it's a fault of theirs, problem solved. Them fix it quick, fast, and in a hurry. So reach out to Slam. It will be well worth it. Now tonight's topic, it says, I believe my ex-boyfriend in Jamaica worked obia on me. Family, honestly said I want to go serious in the night here, right? Honestly said I want to go serious in the night. But she's not only talking about one person, you know, she left from one situation into another situation. So family, we are going to take a listen to what the guest tonight has to share and see where actually go down. Me could eat, no? Call a good night again. Thank you so much for joining me on the Unstoppable Live platform. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a pleasure. And you mentioned earlier that you have a very juicy story, a saga to share with us tonight. I'm going to give you the platform so that you can share it with myself and the viewers. I won't interrupt you. I'll just listen, because I'm quite sure the viewers just want to hear what you have to share with us tonight. So the show is all yours. Go right ahead.
Okay, so where do I start? Because it's a long story, but I will try to fit in as much as I can. I went to Jamaica about 6 years ago, and I decided to go on the north coast. I took my son with me, and we went for a weekend, and I was staying at a hotel, and you know, I wanted to go out that night. It was a Friday night, so I asked the waitress, you know, is there any hot spots that I can go to? So she mentioned like a lounge across the street. So in the night, my son, he's 14, so he was okay to stay at the resort by himself. So I went over to the bar, but it was kind of dead and boring. So I had a couple of drinks, and this guy came around me, and you know, he was talking. I wasn't interested, so I said, "Is there any other clubs that I can go to? Just show me, and I'll go." And he says, "Oh, I'll accompany you." So I said, okay. So we walked, because it was walking distance. And I noticed like he would be around me, but I wasn't interested. So I left. I said, I'll be right back. And I left him there. And I walked back to the other lounge that I was at. And by then, I believe it was closing time. So the guy that I saw there, he worked there. And he said, are you looking for me? And I said, not really. I'm just looking for a spot so I could go and have, you know, have a couple of drinks. So he said, hold on, we're closing. I'll take you. I said, I don't want you to take me. I don't know you. Just, you know, tell me. So anyways, he said, oh, you'll be fine. And he called a taxi, and he took me to a club, an after hours club. And we sat there. He paid for all my drinks and so forth. But my mind was far, because I wasn't really interested. And so he said, so at the end of the night, he dropped me back to my hotel, but I noticed he didn't leave. He just stood there. Like, I don't know if he was trying to kiss me or something, but he's just looking into my eyes. And then he said, you know, I'm having a gig tomorrow night. I'm inviting you. And I said, okay. And it's like, do you have a number? So I gave him my Jamaican number. So the next day he came and picked me up, and we went to the gig. And, after the gig, we went to a club and we were dancing and having fun. And, he told me that he worked at one of the major hotels. So that was that. And I left that weekend, went back to Kingston, and he called me and says, I want to see you again. I says, well, I just left. And he says, well, I'll pay for your hotel to come back. I said, no, I'm not really interested. So anyways, I came back home and we started corresponding. And he says, you better be here for my birthday in March. And I said, not really, you kind of seem young for me and you're not really my type. And he says, like, he was very demanding. So, he convinced me to come and I came and, we had fun and so forth. And then he cooked for me because this time I stayed at a guest house. So he cooked for me and so forth. But I kept fighting it. I kept saying, you're not really my type, and stuff like that. But I'd find myself drawn to him. And then when I came back up, I noticed I always would think about him and he'd call me every day. And, so long story short, about a year and a half after of being off and on, I noticed when I went back, he said, instead of you paying for a hotel, come and stay where I'm living, because the twin boys that he was looking after, the owner for the house, filed for the boys, so he had the home to himself. So, before that, I didn't know where he had lived. So I said, okay, I can save money. When I got there, I was shocked because it was kind of in the ghetto and, not somewhere where I would normally want to stay. But I said, okay, you know what, I'll make it work. So he told me that he wasn't going to be there because the hotel was going to send him to the other location, that I'd be there alone. And I found that strange. And he went to work that night, but he came back to check on me. And I said, I thought you have to work in the Montego Bay side. So I kept saying to myself, I wonder if he has somebody, because he was acting strange. And, he said no. So I asked his friend and he said he doesn't know about that. And then I was looking through his drawer and I found like a condom packet. And I called him and I says, what's this that I found? He said that his friend that comes up sometimes, he lets him use his room. So it's his. So I'm like, really? So, I kind of brushed it off. So after that, in the night, the door knocks and I'm like, who could this be? But by that, let me just backtrack a bit. By then, when you're in the ghetto, nosy neighbors, they come and inquire. So there was a shopkeeper and she came and she said, are you dating so-and-so? I says, well, if that's what you want to call it. And she says, oh, I didn't even know he was talking to a foreigner because I never really see him with a steady girl. And then I said, okay. And she says, can I ask you something? I said, yes. She says, how long have you been talking? I says, about 2 years. She says, I'm going to tell you something, but don't repeat it. She says, there's a girl that frequents his home more than the others. And I says, really? And then she started to tell me about the girl and so forth. And I says, what is she like? And she says, well, she's kind of like a kid, like early 20s. I said, okay. So I didn't ask him anything. That same night, the door knocked and I answered. And by then I already knew. I went on Facebook because I'm like Matlock, like a detective. So I went on Facebook and I found out who she was and I pulled up her picture. So when the door knocked and the door opened, I saw her with another girl and she said, hi, I'm so-and-so's girlfriend. I just came to pick up my shoes. So I slammed the door in her face and I I called the dogs on her.
I know I said I wasn't going to interrupt you, but I have to ask this question because earlier you mentioned that you told him that he's not really your type and he's kind of young for you. However, you still visited Jamaica and, you know, stuff like that. Now, were you actually involved with him at this point or not?
Yes, I was. And the thing is, every time I'd say I'm not, like, you're not really my type, I'd find myself drawn to him and I'd be wondering why. Because usually when I say, like, I'm not interested, I would move along. But for some reason, I was drawn. So, um, you know, so after that, I called him and I said, some girl came to the door saying she's your girlfriend. She came to get her stuff. What's going on? And he says, I have to talk to you. And then, you know, he came by with his friend and he says, well, you said you didn't want me and so forth, and you treat me bad. I said, I didn't really treat you bad, but, you would always be 1 minute you're one way and then the next minute you're other. So, I couldn't deal with that. So I said, why didn't you just tell me the truth? Why did you say to me, I've never brought you a pair of shoes before, and I went and bought your Hugo Boss like sneakers? If you knew you had somebody, why didn't you come out and say it? Like, that's the whole point. And he said that she's not really happy that I'm there because she says, why is your ex-girlfriend staying at your home? So anyways, I left after that. I think 3 days after, I told him, don't come back here until I'm ready to leave. You could come for the keys at the end of the stay. So he tried to come by, but I wouldn't let him in. So the day I was leaving, by then one of the neighbors befriended me, and she said, oh, I didn't even know so and so that was talking to a foreigner because he used to look bad, and all of a sudden he started dressing nice. So this is why. And she says, wow, you're such a beautiful woman. We didn't think that, he could talk to somebody like you. So, I left it at that. And I came back up and I played detective and I said, look at this girl that you dissed me for. So I went on Facebook and I looked in her comments and I saw a guy said, oh, I can't wait to see my baby. So I clicked on the guy's photo and it was a Spanish guy from the US and they were kissing and so forth on his profile. So I sent it to my ex and I said, oh, so this is the girl you think that wouldn't cheat on you, right? But this is the girl you think that wouldn't cheat on you, and look exactly what she's doing. And he was in shock. He goes, oh, you're trying to ruin my relationship and blah blah blah. And he was kind of crying, and I was laughing at him. And he said the Spanish guy said he was going to come to Jamaica and kill him. So I was laughing. I said, karma, it's your turn for karma. So I left it at that, and he didn't talk to him for maybe 4 months. And then within maybe 8 months, I started like getting like attacks in my sleep, like somebody's trying to have sex with me. And I would, like, I'm fighting to get this person off of me, and I'm saying, this is weird. What's going on? It happened like the fourth time. And then I said to my friend's mother, something's not right. And she said, I wonder if this guy's doing anything to you. And at that time, his neighbor told me that she heard that he's a big time Obia worker. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what did I get myself into? And, well, I went to bed one night and I said, Lord, show me what's going on. Is it this person that's doing stuff to me? And the night I went to bed, I was calling his name when the attack came on me, and I was feeling the head, but I couldn't see a face. And I screamed out the blood of Jesus, and then it went away. And then after a while, my friend told me to get a tape measurement put over the door, but I thought, this is weird. She said, do it. That way they won't come back. So that night I put the tape measurement over the door, and then when I went to bed, it's like the demons saw the tape measurement, they got scared and ran, and then the tape measurement fell. But when I actually opened my eyes, the tape measurement was still there, and I'm like, this is weird. So, I thought, okay, because I don't really believe in these things, but weird things started happening to me. And then I found myself thinking about him all the time. And, you know, by then I'm like, something's not right because my son started acting strange. And then the neighbor in Jamaica said, I wonder if the blow caught my son. And I says, like, this is strange because my son wouldn't want to talk to me, wouldn't want to really eat and I even called his school and I said, do you notice that my son's acting weird at school? And they said, no, he's just fine. And I'm like, this is strange. So I found out that, it affected my son. And even after a while, I called him from a different number and no, I didn't call him, sorry. I texted him and I said, happy birthday, but I didn't say who I was. And then the next day he called the number and he said, hey, and he says, oh, I knew it was you. I said, how do you know? He said, I knew I'm trying to reach you because I had, deleted him from my other number, my main number. So we started talking and I couldn't get him off my mind. And he'd say stuff to me like, oh, you can't leave me and I'll never leave you. And I says, what happened to that girl? He said, oh, I'm sorry of the things I did to you, blah, blah, blah. And, and I even promised to get him another pair of shoes because he said he didn't have any shoes to go to work. And I'm like, well, doesn't that girl that you dissed me for, doesn't she help you out? And he laughed it off. And I found myself just thinking about him. And, in the ending of last year, my son was always angry towards me and he would just do strange things and said he'd want to kill himself and so forth. And I'm like, what's going on with you? And then sometimes he'd look in his mirror in his room and you'd see handprints on the mirror, and he'd say, I'm going to kill myself. And he'd be acting strange. And when I try to talk to me, he'd be angry. So a friend of mine called the prayer line that she was on, and the pastor started praying for me. And I guess he could pick things up. And he told me to go get some olive oil and put on my son. And I said, he probably won't allow me to do it. So I went in my son's room and like he jumped up like he saw a ghost and I felt like goosebumps. And I said, something's not right. And then he says, get out of my room. And then when the pastor heard that, they started intercessing and praying. And then they're like, I guess they said witchcraft is on him, witchcraft. And I'm like, when I really thought about it, I said, you know what? I believe it now because I don't understand why my son's always angry with me and acting strange, saying he wants to kill himself. And he was in the hospital a couple times. So we started praying, intercessing, and I started praying a lot. They prayed for me. And I convinced him one time to anoint him with the olive oil, and he started getting better. And, he's much better now. But I got the strength to block my ex because he was messaging me on Messenger saying how much he misses me, misses hearing my voice. And I said, why don't you leave me alone? I left you 6 years ago. Like, why can't you just leave me alone? I've moved on. And he says, oh, you can't leave me. And my friends said, block him. And I finally blocked him. And he found my other number and he called me on it. And I remembered his number, so I didn't answer. And then his friend called me and said he called him and saying he's sorry for what he did to me. And he wants me back. And the friend said to him, leave her alone. She doesn't want you anymore. And he laughed and said, oh, she's joking. And the friend said, why would she be joking? She's serious about it. So, I'm still traumatized today, but I thank God that I'm over it. and I I I met somebody else, but that's another story. So the other guy I met when I came to Jamaica, after I left this guy, the second guy works at the airport. So, I came there for 4 days because my friend said, come out here and, we'll take you to the beach and try to get your mind off of what happened to you. So at the airport, as I proceeded to wait for the hotel um, accommodation, not the accommodation, the hotel bus, this guy came up to me while I was at the bar talking to the bartender, and he's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, okay, but I wouldn't look at him because at this point I was traumatized and didn't want to talk to any more Jamaican guys. And he says, he'd made some small talk, and then he said he's a representative for one of the hotels. And I said, oh, you know what? My friend is looking for a job. Could you hook her up? And he says, okay, give me your number. So I gave him the Jamaican number. So when I got to my friend, which was the ex-boyfriend's neighbor doesn't live too far from him, this guy called, and I passed the phone to her because I had no interest. So apparently, I guess he wanted to talk to me, not about helping her find a job. So, I never connected with him when I was there because I had no interest, and to be honest, I didn't even remember what he looked like. So when I came back up, I heard my phone ring and I said, hello. And he told me who he was. And I said, hey. And he says, are you back home safe? I said, yes. Then he said, how are you doing? So forth. How was your trip? Small talk. And I'd say, it was okay. I just don't have any interest in talking to any Jamaican guys anymore. And we talk every day, call me every single day. And at that time, I needed a shoulder to cry on. And he was there for me and so forth. And he'd say, why you always say you don't want any more Jamaican guys? And then I told him what happened to me. So, I guess that was his way of kind of helping himself. And I said to him, what month are you born? He said, March the 29th. And my ex is March the 28th. I said, oh my God, I'm not interested whatsoever because you both are the same. He says, well, I'm not the same. And we talked and talked. And I said, I don't remember what you look like because I had no interest. And he sent me a picture and I said, okay, you're cute. So we talked. And by then he says, why don't you come out to come visit? And I says, okay, maybe we could go to some fest or something like that. And that's how we started talking, the second guy. And I still would push him away because I was still afraid. So I'd tell him the same thing, like, don't try to get attached to me because I'm not interested. But no matter what I'd say, he wouldn't leave. And, I said, don't you have a girlfriend? He goes, no, I'm not interested because Jamaican girls only want money. And I says, well, foreign women want money too. So anyways, we talked and talked, and we'd be kind of off and on, and I'd visit him frequently, maybe 2 times for the year. And we'd have fun and so forth, but I still had anger issues and would push him off because of what happened to me. And just last year, I started to fall in love with him. The feelings started to come, but one day we went to Kingston, and I was supposed to go to church the next day with my friend, which is well known in Jamaica. And when we went out, she posted him to say thank you for helping her. And so I was in the comment section while we were lying in bed. He was fast asleep, looking to see if there was any women that would claim him, because women were saying, oh, he's so handsome. And then somebody said he's married and tagged his wife. And I'm like, what? So I went on the page and I saw pictures of him with this girl, American girl, and and so forth. And I was in shock, and I woke him up. I says, are you married? He said, no. And I showed him the pictures, and he said, "Oh, I didn't know how to tell you." I said, "What are you talking about? You always acted so innocent, like you had nobody." And I was like, "Whoa, this is too much for me. Like, you knew what I went through. You were a shoulder to cry on, and you did this to me." He says, "Well, you didn't want me," and so forth. And you know why I did it, because I was looking for a job and I needed a way out. I says, "You married for a green card." He says, "Well, I needed a way out." I said, "Okay." So I thought I was going to leave him, but we drove back to the other hotel and we started talking, and he explained that he wanted to choose me, and she's not mature and she has mental issues and so forth. I says, "Why would you marry somebody with mental issues?" And he says, "Well, I needed somebody to love me." I said, "You got to love yourself." So, I ended up still talking to him, but I'm trying to like pull away completely, but it's hard. So I don't know what to do.
You're trying to pull away, so you're still in that situation presently?
Well, presently, as I'm speaking to you, he's calling my other line right now, but I like the reason why it's hard for me is because he was like a shoulder to cry on. He ended up being like my best friend and also my business partner. So like every time I try to leave, I always find myself like talking to him again.
Right, but you know that he is married. That's one.
Now I know, yes,
And he lied about it. Two,
yes.
and you bought the stories about him saying she has mental issues and he wants to choose you, and you actually bought that.
And I didn't buy it because when I go on her Instagram page, I really do see that she is very immature. Um, and she's controlling because he said she's very controlling. She told him she doesn't want him to have any female friends. And I says, "Well, you don't know what she's doing when she's back home. And you both are a lot alike because, as far as I see, you're immature, she's immature, and you're extremely jealous, and she's the same. So you're both playing each other because, as far as I know, no filing has started because she doesn't have money, number one. So she's fooling him, and she only comes to Jamaica 2 times a year for 10 days. So, you know, he and the way the wedding was too is not a proper wedding attire, and she bought her own wedding ring, so that should tell you that from the beginning it was doomed.
How often do you go to Jamaica?
um I would say maybe sometimes 2 or 3 times, depends. Like, he doesn't hide me from anybody. I know his brothers, his parents know of me, I know his friends, I know everybody.
Does his wife know of you?
Not that I know of. But if I didn't find out about her through social media, I wouldn't have known about her either.
And that's not a signal to you to say something like it's not enough?
Like, I'm not, I've, I've pulled away from him a lot now. Like, I wouldn't put my 100% into him. Like, if I meet somebody now, I will talk to them. But like, I'm trying to just completely block it.
You said that you feel like the marriage that he is in was for status. What makes you think that he is not talking to you for the very same reason?
I don't give him anything when I'm there he spends on me, other than if I'll bring him some clothes. But when I'm there, to be honest, he will spend on me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've known him for 6 years. So, I don't know. And honestly, when he operates my business for me, he doesn't take any money. He gives it all to me. Like even when I was there in January, as soon as I got in the car, he handed it to me and he didn't take a dollar. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to completely pull away because he can be such a nice person, but at the same time, under the quiet, like, you know. And I even met his ex girlfriend, and she, I guess, likes me. And she says to him, "Why would you do that? Why would you tell such a lie?" Like, you know. And she told me that she left him because he was a cheater or something. But he, every time he thinks that she's talking to me, he gets so angry and tells me to delete her and block her because she's evil. I'm like, why do you have a problem with me talking to your ex?
So you've been communicating with this person now for 6 years. You said he ever travel to you?
He doesn't have a visa.
And he hasn't tried to get one?
He did have an American visa before. He's been to the States twice, but I think he waited too long to renew it. When he went, they didn't give it to him. So he hasn't tried to get a Canadian. And I guess now that he's married, I don't know how it works if he could apply for a Canadian or not.
So what's actually your intention with this person?
Well, honestly, I don't see a future with him. I've never seen a future. He's just, I guess it's just for comfort. I guess. So when I'm fully healed, um, like I said, if I meet somebody of interest, then, you know, I think I'll just completely cut him off.
Now, this is my curiosity. Okay, both men that you spoke about were Jamaican, and both of them were in Jamaica, right?
Yes.
Is it that men in your city, you can't find a good man in your city?
Oh, I can find men. I'm a very beautiful woman, but I think what it is, it's just I think what I was doing was having fun because I never used to date black men, only white men, and white men had treated me very well. So I think when I went to Jamaica and they were always all over trying to talk to me and so forth, you know, I just think I just started going there and having fun. So it's not that I can't find somebody here, but I don't really put myself out there anymore. When I'm here, it's just from work or I don't go out. But trust me, I don't have a problem meeting guys you know, so so I think I'll just probably go back to the kind of men I'm used to because I'm used to dating men that have money and, you know, treat women really well. So I think I dated these guys because I could kind of have control.
And is that what you want to have? Control?
No, not really, because I'm a strong woman. So I'm used to dating men that lead. I don't like weak men. So if you're gonna be weak around me, then I'm gonna use you in a certain way, like because I'd always say to him, you know, you're not a man, you're a boy, and I'd have to say I have to teach you how to be a man. So, you know, I like strong men that are leaders.
With the first guy that you mentioned about the possibility of him doing something spiritual to you, did you ever get factual information that he did that, or it was just an assumption?
I went to two churches and two bishops told me the same thing. And the reason why I believe it was because the first one She described how his house looked. She described the car that he bought. She described everything to a T. And she told me that he tied me so that every time I meet a man, it's like it doesn't last or I don't have any interest. And I found that every time I meet somebody, it's like if we talk on the phone for a week, I would just have no interest whatsoever. But I think it's broken now just because my faith has been lifted now. Like I started going to church and so forth. So, there's no higher power than God. So this is why I know my son is getting better and I'm not in fear anymore. So, he can only continue to try, but it won't work anymore.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of hesitant, like when I meet somebody and they say they're Jamaican. I know they're not all the same, but it's just what I went through. My eyes are wide open now after what happened to my son because a lot of people say, oh, they don't believe in witchcraft, but they don't believe in it until it actually happens to them. Like I know how my son was, and he started acting strange and doing strange things. And if it wasn't for prayers and fasting, he probably wouldn't even have been alive today. So that has truly opened my eyes. So I blocked the first guy. He can't contact me in no shape or form. And the pastor, he told me to block his friend as well, even though the friend lives in the States and they don't really talk much anymore. But I just want to block anybody associated with him because he's evil. And for the neighbor to say he's an obeah worker and the other lady said that, so I just want to stay away from those kind of people.
Your present boyfriend, should I refer to him as your boyfriend, the one that is married?
I mean, if you want to, but I even said to him, Muslims have two wives, and he asked me how could he be a Muslim? Like, if he really, I'm not saying he doesn't love her, but I notice when I'm there, he won't talk to her on the phone.
Do you intend to get him where you are?
Well, if they remain married, there's no like future there. So, I mean, and I honestly don't think he's going to get a green card, so he's going to be stuck. So, again, if I find somebody, I'm gone. It's just that he's just somebody to talk to out of boredom at times. But the love that I used to have for him is not really there anymore. And he admitted that he'll never find a woman like me again because I would cook for him. I would give him a bath. Like, how many women would do that? I clip his toenails. She doesn't know how to treat a man because he told me he has to groom her and teach her how to be a woman. So, but I I don't have any hate for him. I was angry at first, but I have to learn to let go of the bitterness. And at times I would say to him, you knew what so and so did to me. Why would you do this? And he just keeps saying, I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you. And he just tried calling me 3 times and I didn't answer. So, like, I mean, all his friends too, they like me and so forth. And I said to him, if your friends had the chance, they would try to talk to me too. So, you had a good woman and you blew it, regardless if I would say to you, I'm not interested in Jamaican men and I'd chase him away. But he knew why I was doing that. Because sometimes he'd say to me, the boy that Obia is really strong, that, you're treating me like this. And he'd say, he'd tell me, oh, remember when you'd come to Jamaica and you'd bring stuff for people and you wouldn't give me anything. That means you didn't, have no interest in me. I said, it's not that, but I'm not going to repeat what happened to me. So, I'm trying to just cut him off completely now, but it's kind of hard. But I know eventually when I'm healed, I will.
Well, first of all, let me say, it shouldn't take someone else for you to heal. It shouldn't take you dating someone else or turning to someone else for you to heal. I think what you should have done, first of all, was focus on yourself after leaving that first relationship or situationship, because neither of these sounded like a relationship, in my opinion. So
You should have first
Well, I just
taken the
find
time.
Jamaican guys to be so persistent,
well, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, you should be strong enough to say, listen, it's about me taking care of myself right now. I just came out of a situation that left me traumatized, as you said. That's the exact word you used, right?
Yes, yes.
So, with you being traumatized, you should have at least tried to heal yourself first before you entered into another situation, because there is no way that would have ended good.
But I try to avoid it because I didn't have feelings for this second guy up like until last year. So I fought it and fought it, but I think we were still intimate, but I didn't have any strong feelings. Like if he'd always say to me, you can call me, if I don't call you, don't call me. But it's just last year that I started to realize that, hey, this guy treats me well. He never leaves my side when I'm there. And, if he has money, he pays for stuff. And, I started to say, wow, let me give him a chance. And then I go and give him a chance. And then I find this out.
How much time after you broke up with the first guy did you give yourself before you actually got involved with this other guy?
I think it was maybe 2 months after that I went down. Yeah, 2 months.
And do you think that's enough? That was enough time for you to heal? Because obviously you didn't heal because you needed his shoulder to cry on.
Well, I didn't heal because I was still traumatized from what he did to me, because I never had a man do that to me before, or have another female come to me and say, I'm so and so's girlfriend. I just came to get my shoes. I wasn't used to that kind of situation because I'm a classy woman, and I'm used to dating certain type of guys. Well, real men, because this first guy I found out that he lied to me about his age, number one. So, that was a shock too. So, you know, I think now I'm looking into myself, and I have to make better choices and think with my brain and not my heart, because I tend to feel sorry for people easily.
Now,
So,
now,
yeah.
okay. See, I'm just stuck on what you intend to do as far as this other guy goes, because he is married, his wife is in the States, and it sounds, honestly, I'm listening to you and it sounds as if you still love this person.
Why it's harder for me, as I said, is because he treated me well. Like, I can't complain in that aspect. It's not like he was treating me bad. The only fault that I found with him was that he was extremely jealous. And if his friends were talking to me too close, you could see like the insecurity and the jealousy in him. And he didn't want me to talk to anybody, no females. And when he'd see older men with money talking to me, he'd always catch me and say, "Oh, I catch you talking to these men with money." I says, "I'm not doing anything. I mean, that's just my personality, But honestly, he treated me very well, and he always tried to please me and make me happy."
All right, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. I'm going to give the viewers an opportunity to share their feedback on your story tonight, and let's see what they have to say. And whatever happens, reach out and let me know, and so that the viewers can get an update as to what's going on. All right?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, family, there you have it. We have gotten to the end of tonight's program, but what is your advice for tonight's guest? What's your take on what she had to share? All right, talk to us in the comment section. Let us know what's your take. She will be looking in the comments for your opinion, your advice on her situation, because listen, at the end of the day, like I always say, each one help one. All right, and though some of you may be sitting saying, boy, that could not be me, that couldn't happen to me, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, you wouldn't know until you're actually in the situation. All right, so if you have some good advice for tonight's guest, leave it in the comment section. She will definitely be looking in the comments for your feedback. All right, I want to say thank you to every single person that tuned in tonight. Thank you if you shared out the program, if you clicked the thumbs up button, if you invited a friend to tonight's show. Thank you so much. It is appreciated. Thank you to everyone that sent in a contribution, whether it be via Super Chat, Cash App, ZELLE, PayPal, whichever method you sent in a contribution to the program. Thank you so much. It is greatly appreciated. And I also want to big up all of my moderator them. All right, all of my moderators who's here with me every single show night to show that continued support. Thank you so much. That is appreciated as well. And definitely I cannot leave without bigging up all of my officials, all of the people where you see I rock them badge. Yes, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube and I rock your badge, thank you so much for that continued support. And viewers, if you're listening and you have not yet signed up to get your badge, please sign up and get your badge. That is greatly appreciated. That's one way that you can show your support for the program. All right, family, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all on Wednesday night for another great, awesome program. Much love.
Feed the music, 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 move your waistline, move your shoulders, feed the music, move your waistline, move your shoulders,
This music got me feeling like them way up high, sipping martinis and blue slushes with umbrellas up high. I like